Welcome, Dada. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, fantastic. Good to see you after a long time. Welcome,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you.
Excellent. So
Thank you.
I am, I'm going to welcome all the guests who are coming in, all the visitors. Hello, friends. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Brian. Welcome, Netra. Welcome, Salil. We still have people joining in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Praveen, Rohit, Mani, Rajesh, Dhananjay, Anil, Usha, Varsha. Welcome, welcome. So, you know, Shantanu and I have been talking as if, all this turmoil which is going on in the country. Uh, there's no doubt that people are a little, fidgety. They're a little skeptical about doing things. There are two sides to the brain. One side tells you, "Hey, be happy," and the other one is telling you, how to be happy when there's so much going on. You know. So I'll tell you what. Listen to the side that's telling you to be happy, because happiness is the only thing which is going to keep you moving. So Shantanu Dada and I decided that we'll go ahead and do this webinar anyhow and not wait for anything else. So I hope you concur with that decision and you're happy with being here. So thank you, friends, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Even if we have less number of people today, but we're here. So that's a big thing. And let me quickly now start. I just want to know if everybody can hear me properly. If you can hear me properly, just type yes in the chat box so that I know that it's I'm audible. And I won't be audible for long because I'm going to introduce Shantanu Dada and I'm going to introduce myself and then put my mic off. So I'm waiting for people. Yes, okay. Dhananjay says yes. Rohit says yes. So I'm audible. Great. Thank you. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much. And here I go with Shantanu's introduction. So he's a nature enthusiast who loves photographing fauna from different parts of India. Shantanu is the eternal learner. Though his photographs have been published in print, he's striving for an even better picture. Thus, he loves the wild areas where he can document the fauna. A lot of youngsters approach him with basic questions and he tries to answer it to best of his ability. He's one of the conveners of the Big Butterfly Month, India's largest biodiversity event. Shantanu is exposed to a lot of experts in the field. Here he would be sharing his experiences of shore walking in the intertidal zone of Western India. And that's going to be really interesting. So thank you for being here, Shantanu. I'll quickly introduce myself. I am Mohit Agarwal. I'm blessed with 4 children, a son and a daughter, and 2 non-humans. One is a Labrador and the other one is an escapee African grey. He has some karmic connection with me. I'm a follower of Shiva, the god of karma. Professionally, I'm an experiential ecotourism specialist with a deep love for nature. I help people travel to some wonderful places in Asia. I'm on the board of Asian Ecotourism Network and I've been trained and certified by GSTC in sustainable tourism. I'm the founder of Asian Adventure, the 27-year-old travel outfit. It's the largest bird watching tour company in India. I'm also the founder of Netineta, it's an email marketing company. These companies are on a large mission to help Asian elephants with their corridors, free the Himalayas of plastic waste, and help small wildlife NGOs, and also save the ancient Himalayan shrines. So that was a bit about me. And you can see my screen is not too bright today because there's a power cut. There was, there was a storm in this evening. So I'm hoping that I don't go off completely. But anyway, Shantanu Dada, you are the administrator as well, and I have a backup here, so that should continue to work. Over to you, Shantanu Dada.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Am I audible? Is my presentation visible?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. I first want to start off by thanking everyone who's out here in this trying times. Taking time out for nature means that you are in a positive frame of mind. Please keep that positive vibes coming because that is most essential right now. Coming to the presentation, we'll start off. There are a couple of questions I have. I want you people to keep these questions in your mind. The answers. I don't need the answers right now. Just try to answer them by yourselves. How deep do you think we need to dive to meet sea stars, which are known as starfish? And to see an octopus, do you need to scuba dive or deep sea dive? Do you need an underwater camera to photograph sea anemones? How deep in the ocean do squids and cuttlefish lay their eggs? And where can you see conch shells like spiral melongena? Let's try and get some answers for these questions. Mohit has been too generous in his introduction for me. I am not an expert. I'm just an enthusiast who spent the last lockdown and some period before and after it in the western coast, Mumbai. And I was exposed to the shores of western coast and the diverse fauna there. By a lot of experts out there, I went with shore walks and got to see a lot of creatures that I never thought was possible seeing or photographing on the shore. So this session is basically also for people who are living in landlocked places. Like I was from Calcutta and then Delhi. I knew very little about the shore life of India. And that is very data deficient also. If you look at data portals or scientific portals, there's not much data on shore life. We'll come to that. Now, let's talk about the intertidal zone. That is the zone where the maximum amount of animals are found in the shore. Intertidal zone is basically the zone, the sand, the beach that is exposed in low tide. So the lower the tide, the maximum beach is exposed. So during spring tides, that is during the full moon, when the tide goes the lowest, then the maximum beach is exposed. So that is where you find the maximum amount of beach animals. Now, the beaches can be mainly of two types, as I've shown out here. One is a rocky beach, which is mostly rocks. And one is a sandy beach, which is the kind of beach that you're used to, like in Goa, Puri, or places like that, fully of sand. However, in sandy beaches also, you would find rock formations in places here and there. It's not something like fully sand, though there are fully rock beaches, but sand beaches would have rocks into it. And even if you can see this picture, if it is visible out here, this part, like suppose this is the high tide mark in this photograph. Just suppose that a tide is going down. So this wet area that is exposed, this is the intertidal zone. This is not it. This is just the waves going down. But just for your understanding's sake, this becomes the intertidal zone. Okay. So mostly the creatures are found in the mix of these two, where the rocky beach and sandy beach are together. Now, look at this picture for the intertidal zone organisms. Suppose this is the place where there is water, always seawater. This is a cross section. Now, this is a low tide zone. Like when the tide goes down, the water comes here. And a very low tide zone, like the full moons, the water comes till here. This is exposed. This is the intermediate or middle tide zone, which is there when the water is going up till high tide, and there the low tide. And this is the high tide zone, which is covered only when there is full tide. So this is mostly dry. This is intermediate dry and wet, and this is mostly wet. So the creatures also adapt themselves likewise. Now, sometimes tide pools are also formed. How? Suppose there's a rock formation out here. So when the water is going down in low tide, some part of the water is trapped along with the animals or the organisms in that water by that rock. So it becomes a small pool, which is a tide pool. And there's a lot of things that you can find in a tide pool. We will come to that. Now, how do we do intertidal observations? Or how can we do intertidal observations? One is shore walk. That is when we are walking in the shore, like we do our morning walks in the beaches. We keep our eye out and we do see crabs. They are rushing by, going inside, doing their own work. We can also see a number of other creatures there. Then the tide pools, as I told you, the tide pools that are there you will find a lot of fishes trapped there and other animals also. Rock turnings is a slightly advanced of tide pooling, where you take that rock, which is basically has become an ecosphere for the animals there. You turn it around and check out what are the animals there, and then you keep it back exactly the same place where you took it from. That is intertidal observation there. There are also offshore observations where you wait for the catch to come in, the fishing boats to come in, and then you understand that what has come in, what fishes, squids, lobsters, rays, sharks. And there's also bycatch. That is the catch which does not have any commercial value, like some crabs which are not edible, and maybe some shrimps which do not have any much value. Those are thrown away. So those are also observed on sea beaches. Now we will have a showcase of the fauna. It will be divided family-wise. These are all photographed on the intertidal zone only. And next time you are at the beach, if you keep your eyes open and aware, I'm sure you'll got to see a lot of them. So the first family or the phylum that we're talking about is Nidaria. These have got specialized cells for catching prey, like jellyfishes. If you're aware, jellyfishes have got tentacles hanging down, which are specialized, and sea anemones, which are kind of inverted jellyfishes, where the tentacles are up there and the body of the anemone is inside the sand. They actually look like flowers on the beach. This is a carrot anemone. It is sticking out in the beach. From above, it will look like some kind of a small dried flower or something, but this is actually an animal. This is a carrot anemone which is trying to hide itself inside the sand. So what it does is that from here, where it is kind of exposed, it sinks inside the sand. You can see the sand coming up till only the end of the rims are visible, and it vanishes. It camouflages itself totally inside the sand. This is an Anjuna Anemone, where the tentacles are curled in. This is the mouth of the animal. This is a carrot anemone feeding away to glory. This is the mouth part of a carrot anemone. And it is catching small creatures, and they're stinging it, and it comes to the mouth part where it is having it. This is a different anemone. Now, where this is. This is in a Girgaon Chowpatty in Mumbai. There is a boat. Now, that boat has been abandoned for a long time. And since it is an intertidal zone, it gets submerged in the water in high tides and is exposed in low tides. So the organisms have found their own ecosystem inside that boat. So this is basically the boat body, and the anemones are stuck on the boat body, and there is a shell also. This is all the part of that fisherman's abandoned boat. This is a tube anemone. So this is the body actually. Even for the other anemones, their body is there under the sand. This has got some part of the body exposed above, and these are the stinging cells. It looks like a tube, hence it's called a tube anemone. This is an unpronounceable name anemone. It is Paracondylactis hertwigi. It is normally found in less sun areas. Once again, a carrot anemone. I love this creature because of the kind of waves it forms with its swaying tentacles. So that was the phylum of Nidaria. Now we come to worms. Sea worms are basically cousins of landworms, like earthworms, if you've seen. So that are the similar kind of creatures, segmented bodies. The only difference is that these worms will have some feeding apparatus on the top, a kind of tentacle kind of a thing, which is going to draw in its food, to filter its food to its mouth. These are feather duster worms. This is on the verge of taking that feeding tentacles out. This guy is sealed, and these are hidden underneath a rock in a tide pool. This is when it is exposed. Different colors of the same feather duster worm. So they get the food from here, and it goes inside their mouth here. This feather duster worm has not yet come out. The protrusions are not here. One second, another feather duster worm, different color. This guy has gone in. This is trying to come out, and this is full-fledged out. Now this is spaghetti worm. You see these extrusions in the front, they look like spaghettis. So it's called a spaghetti worm. This extrusion, this is the head, and this is the body of the worm. These are all undersea worms. Now we come to a phylum, a family called Arthropoda, which are jointed legs. These are like similar to insects on land, jointed legs. So crabs, shrimps, lobsters, these all come under this family. This is a spider crab. This is normally not found on intertidal or beaches. This was a bycatch in Goa. The tides had got it into a fisherman's net. They were throwing it on the beach. So this poor guy was on the beach. It was actually a deep sea creature. Now this is a carapace of a moon crab. Carapace is a shell, empty shell. Now empty shells can be there for two reasons. One, if it has been predated, then the shell is empty. Or B, when it molts to a bigger crab, so it leaves the previous mold back. I like moon crabs for their designs. And so the shell, look at it, it's like so beautiful. And because it is rounded in shape, it is called a moon crab. These are mantis shrimps. These are found in tide pools mostly. They need a little bit of water to stay. And if you see this part, this is folded like a praying mantis, hence the name mantis shrimp. They are also found in bycatch, and because they do not have much of commercial value, they are thrown away. They are not found in markets. This is a hermit crab. Would anybody would like to tell me why would it be called a hermit crab? Mohit, would you like to tell me why would a hermit crab be called a hermit crab?
Because it's probably gone on some pilgrimage. I think you should ask this question to the audience. Anybody from the audience, please write this down. And
why is a hermit crab called a hermit crab? Do you have any answers?
You could wait for people to reply in the chat, and in the meantime, you can go ahead. But this is a good question to ask, and then later, 2 or 3 slides later, you could answer if people haven't.
No, I'll wait for 2 minutes, and meanwhile, I'll just tell you that. Just a moment. Okay. In the meanwhile, I'll just tell you, this is a hermit crab. Now, do you see these things on the back? These are eggs of spiral melangina, egg sacs of spiral melangina. Now, this is the size. These got so many small eggs inside these egg sacs. Anyways, why is a hermit crab called a hermit crab? A hermit crab is a crab which does not have its own shell. So it goes about in the beach trying to find out shells in which they can make their home. Like hermits do not have a home. They stay in the places wherever they can. Similarly, hermit crabs, they find size-appropriate shells to stay. And once they outgrow the shells, they go to a different shell, which has been abandoned by some other animal, some other mollusk. Now, when we pick up shells from the beach, like we used to do when we were kids, we are probably picking up the home for one of the hermit crabs. And sometimes when you pick up shells from the beach, even now, you would see a crab inside it, like this one. There's a hermit crab inside this shell. So that is why a hermit crab is called a hermit crab, because it does not have a home of its own. Its protection is from a hard shell, and that hard shell is from a different mollusk altogether. Okay, these crabs are called fiddler crabs. Now, if you look closely, you find one of the pincers is bigger than the other. So when it goes about, it looks like it's fiddling or playing the violin. So hence the name of fiddler crabs. And this guy, it's mostly in the marshlands, in the mangroves that they have found. Now this guy's just come out of its hole. The first sign of threat, it will go back in. And crabs, as you know, travel sideways. So in a blink of an eye, it will go inside this hole. This is a Sally Lightfoot crab. There's something very interesting out here. What do you see out here? What is this?
Is this wire mesh some sort of, or is it being created by the crab, or is it something to do with the wires from the fishing net, which have been left loose?
You are correct. It's not created by the crab. It is a part of a fishing net, nylon fishing net. Now it is easier, cutting off the net and throwing it away by the fishermen than to take each crab out. So that is what they do. Now at a later stage, these crabs disintegrate, but these nets, they remain, go back into the ocean, and from microplastic pollutions. This is a very big problem that we are facing by nylon fishing nets. Even when you're walking down a beach, you would find a lot of lot of junk on the beach, and some of it will definitely gonna be discarded fishing nets. That is a big problem because there are many animals which get caught in those nets and they cannot swim in and they drown. So this guy was found in that net. I tried taking it out. It repaid me back by biting me. So I couldn't do much about it. It's called a Sally Lightfoot crab. This is called a clapping crab. You see, the pincers are extended like a hug. So whenever it feels threatened, it brings the pincers together like a clap. So it goes on like clapping. So hence it is called, this name called a clapping crab. Now you see the small crabs when you walk in the beach, you see them in a small hole, they come out, and once they see you, they rush back inside that hole. And there are small lines that are drawn from that hole. Those are called sand bubbler crabs. These are sand bubbler crabs. The most
Rather, your voice went off. Can everybody hear Shantanu Da, or is it just me not being able to hear it? Now he's back again.
I'm sorry. I was.
Yeah.
Do you see
missed
the
the last slide.
Yeah, in this crab, you see the bubbles coming out.
You could go back to the previous slide, Dada. You could go back to the previous slide because we missed it there.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah. So sand bubbler crab is the most common crab that you see scampering about in the beach. And Hermit marsh crab is a cousin of the sand bubbler crab that is mostly found in marshland in the mangroves. Now, maroon rock crab is a crab which is maroon, stays among rocks. You see the bubbling that's happening out here. Any crab, whenever it feels threatened, is going to bubble. So it might be that it is exposed to the sun, or it might be it has felt some vibrations. It felt threatened, so it's bubbling. These are my favorites. It's a porcelain crab. Lovely color, right? They are the size of your fingernails. This one is the size of your small nail of your smallest finger. You see this antenna coming out here. Have you ever seen a crab with antennae? I don't think so. So porcelain crabs are actually more related to lobsters than to crabs. But they are beautiful creatures. You find both the colors, one maroonish and one pinkish. Really look at the rocks that you find on the seashore. You will find them somewhere. Now, what crabs do you see here? We just discussed. Can anybody from the audience tell me?
इसका ताली बजेगा ना?
Correct. Hey, Georg, hi. Can you tell me what crab is this?
So
friends, rock crab.
Clapping crab. My Maharishi says it's clapping, so that's the correct one.
That is a correct one. Even Dhananjay is correct. You know how? Look at this. Look at the next slide. Notice this camouflage. You see this rounded thing? See this. Now, you see a crab also here. I have circled it. This is the level of camouflage that happens with marine animals. This definitely is a clapping crab, but there is also maroon rock crab. After half an hour after developing these photos, I realized that there is also another crab out here. It was like so well camouflaged, and everybody took photos on macro. Everybody, when they really went close to take these photos, and nobody noticed this crab out here. Interesting. Now we come to this phylum mollusks, which are the normal sea creatures that you know, that snails and cuttlefish, mussels. This is one that you find in the shores. It's a sunset siliqua. Beautiful colors of sunset. And common, very common, but very, very standout colors it has. Spiral melangina, conch. We always thought that conchs are brought up from the deep waters of the seas. These are all from the beach. I didn't even get my feet wet when I took these photographs. Conchs travel on one single leg. This is the leg of this conch. It's a very interesting photo, this one. There's a small snail which is laying its eggs on a live conch. So these are the snail eggs. So look at the behavioral thing that's going on out here. This conch is traveling, the snail is traveling, it's laying eggs. These are egg sacs of the snail, which will, they'll come out as small snails, and the conch will be the bearer of those snail kids. This was a photo that I just made into black and white just for the heck of it, because I like the spiral shape. These are mollusks. They have a proboscis to check out what's in front of them. These are all on the beach. And when they are together, they make small bubble houses kind of a thing just to stay safe and to maintain temperature. Mud snails. Octopus. Really, there was a question, right? How deep in the ocean do you need to go to see an octopus? This is from a tide pool. And this is from a rock turning. One thing I would like you to notice that in this tide pool, this octopus color is matching the color of the rocks in the background. And here it is matching the color of the rocks out here. This is how an octopus camouflages itself. And they are found on the beach in the low tide. You do not have to go to the ocean. You do not have to take a boat. Just walk on the beach. You see stuff like this. Green mussel. The green color strikes out. These are they're attached to the bottom of anything by small hairs, and they're really tough. They cannot be pulled out. I mean, very difficult. Even when the local fishermen try to pull them out, they really have to make an effort to pull them out. Now, there's an urban legend which says that these green mussels are attached to the bottoms of ships or in cliffs. So when people go swimming, and their hairs get entangled out here because mussels normally keep their mouth open for feeding, and whenever they are threatened, they close it with a snap. The hairs get entangled with the snap, and the poor guy drowns. So there's an urban legend which says that green mussel is responsible for a lot of people's dying. Okay, this is an egg-laying snail. Do you see this lovely spiraling thing? It's actually the snail which is laying eggs out here on a rock. Beautiful. These are eggs. Spiral melangina eggs, which we had seen before when the hermit crab photo. This is an egg sac of spiral melangina. These are murex snail egg sacs. If you really look closely, you would find little eggs out here. And these are squid eggs, semi-transparent. These are all on the beach. These are cuttlefish which are ready to hatch. If you really look close, you see the small embryos of cuttlefish. Like next tide, they will probably float out. Mohit, can you see these embryos? These beautiful small cuttlefishes out here.
Yep.
So once they are ready to hatch, they become totally transparent like these. And probably the next high tide, they will flow out and become, populate the ocean with cuttlefishes. We come to the next family called Echinodermata. Echino being spiny, dermata skins, a spiny skinned sea urchins, which we normally do not find in the beach, and sea stars, which we do. This is a brittle star. It is a cousin of sea stars or starfish. And it is called a brittle star because at the first sign of danger, one of its legs, it will leave off and it will regrow. All sea starfishes and brittle stars can regrow their organs. These are sea stars. They were known as starfishes before, but scientists now want to change the common name to sea stars. The reason being, excepting living in the water, there's nothing fishy about them. They don't have a spine. They don't have gills. Nothing. They are predators. Once they want to eat, when they go to eat, they evert their stomachs inside mollusks, dissolve the internal matter of the mollusk and suck it up and move on, leaving an empty shell for the hermit crab to take over probably. So these are 5-pointed sea stars. You also get 7-pointed sea stars also. This one was as small as your thumbnail. These are like really small creatures. Now we come to the most common phylum, Chordata, which has got spinal columns, fishes, stuff like that. This is a blenny. Blenny is quite common in tide pools. They get trapped out here, go out on next tide, nice looking stuff. Mudskippers. I believe, and a lot of scientists believe, that they are intermediate between things that live on land and live on seas, because they can breathe air as well as breathe oxygen from water. They have external gills, and they are found in marshy lands mostly. They skip on the mud using their gills as feet. So there are a lot of adaptations that they have made. This is a moray eel. Look at this teeth. They mean business. This was stranded on the rocks in one of those tide pools. Hyphene moray eel. Really, nice looking stuff. Target perches and mackerels. Mackerels are not found on beach walking or intertidal zone. Target perches are. But I could not photograph them. They are really fast fishes. So I just showing you from a bycatch in one of the Goa beaches. They are called target perch because it looks like a bullseye. You see this round thing. So anytime if you look at a tide pool, you might see target perches, jumping about the place. I wanted to come to this photograph. This is Anurag's photo of a hook-nosed sea snake. You do find snakes on the beach, but mostly they are dead. Sea snakes are killed by fishermen. They are caught in bycatch and killed by fishermen. They are killed by fishermen because they are very highly venomous. They are much more venomous than land snakes. Can Can anybody tell me why would the sea snakes be, so much more venomous than land snakes? Let's see, where's the chat box? Yeah, can anybody type in the chat box, or can even Mohit help me out? Why do you think the sea snakes are so much more venomous than land snakes?
I wouldn't know the answer, but of course it's got something to do with their self-protection, or you would have an answer to this. But very, very interesting question, though. You know, I never thought about that. I knew that sea snakes were far more venomous, but I never asked this question. Why they are more venomous?
I am waiting in the chat box also. So can anybody suggest?
Well, if you don't know the answer, you can say no, that I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see, that how further we are away from the sea, and what we really need to see. Shantanu, the one thing that's been bothering me is that we are all so much into land mammals and birds and creatures on the land, because it's something that we relate to. But moment it comes to water, it's a different world out there, and especially underwater. So there's such little known stuff which is available as knowledge, that it's intriguing. It's very, very interesting, and if you can go deeper into it over a period of time, it'll be lovely. So Praveen says maybe because they don't get enough time to kill its prey.
Praveen is so close to the correct answer.
Okay.
And so is Sheila.
Yeah,
actually,
says
what happens is, yes, they are. Actually, what happens generally is that whenever land snakes kill, they stay in the same plane. That is the prey. It runs on the ground. If it is hit on the ground, or if it's a bit on the tree, it stays on the tree. In the sea, there's another dimension called depth. So suppose you bite something and your poison, the venom works slow, your prey, when dead, will sink. So the snake will not even have time to catch the prey. And the venom itself is protein. It takes, really a good amount of effort to get the venom on. So they really need to have very fast killing venom. And that is why sea snakes have got this high amount of venom inside them. Now, the problem is that when the fishermen throw away these snakes by killing them or half killing them, they're still on the beach.
Dada, you gone off again.
Flexed.
Can you repeat that?
Hello?
Am I audible? Yes, now you're audible, but you were inaudible in the middle. So can you repeat what you just said?
Am I audible? Am I getting signal?
Yes, now we can
hear you. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible now. Yes, Dada, you're audible now. Friends, we got to wait. So wait, I think his internet connection is a little weird today. He will come back. Friends, please wait. Dada will come back. Salil, can you just call Dada to check if there's a serious issue, or is he going to log back in?
Hello?
Yes, Dada. Now you're back. Good.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that when people discard fishermen, they normally kill the snakes and discard them on the beach itself. The problem with that is normal people on the beach having a good time can step on that snake. Any snake, even when dead, can inject venom. So do sea snakes. So it is very dangerous if you discard them that way. So that is what you people need to watch out for, those snakes, those dead snakes, and maintain a very good distance from them. Okay, now I want to show you what kind of special equipments are required for photographing these creatures. This is a small, cuttlefish egg sacs out here. I have just got a DSLR camera and a flash. This lady has got a compact camera only. And that is all that is required. You can even do it with your mobile phone. I see a lot of people making videos of anemones on their mobile phone. You do not need any specialized equipment. You do not need any specialized footwear. You actually are supposed to wear sandals or something like that, so your feet is not sinking inside or your shoes do not go bad. Yes, you would need a hat or something because the sun is direct on the beach, and for the UV, you would need some sunshades kind of a thing. Now I'm going to talk about the threats that we face in the intertidal zone. Global warming is a threat for all environment. When the temperature goes up, animals do not reproduce. They don't even stay in warm temperatures because they are cold-blooded creatures, most of them in the seas. Their body temperature is regulated by the external temperature. And when the temperature goes up due to global warming, a lot of problems happen in the whole ecosystem, kind of breaks down. Habitat destruction happen because the bleaching of coral reefs happen because of the global warming. Temperature going up, the coral reefs get bleached, and the whole ecosystem that is built around the global coral reef, that is not there. Also, we are doing our level best as human beings to make sure that the marine diversity is not there. In Mumbai, a coastal road is coming up, which is through a lot of beaches, a lot of coral areas like Haji Ali and all. And we as human beings, even in a place like Juhu Kolivada, it has been 5 years that people have discovered that these kind of things can be seen. And this is like 500 meters away from the proper Juhu beach in Mumbai. And in 5 years, we are also now building a coastal road so that these things are never seen again. And even people who are having beach houses in Juhu area, really big people, huge sea-facing apartments, they don't even know that you can see an octopus walking down your house when you come down to the beach. So before we can educate people, before we can show stuff to people, this thing is being taken away. That's a huge threat. And then there are untreated chemical pollutants from ships and factories, unburned diesel oil from ships, a huge pollutant. Then a couple of accidents happen with tanker ships that pollutes the water and the beaches. And our factories, they put in untreated pollutants into the river, which goes into the seas. A lot of problems happen because of that. That's a huge threat. And the biggest threat, and the threat that I believe we can control, is microplastics. I would like to take a little bit of time talking about microplastics. Now, what are microplastics? They are plastic. Let's say plastic is not found in nature normally. Plastic is man-made. So any plastic particle less than 5 mm in size is termed as microplastic. So plastics, they do not dissolve in the water, or they are not biodegradable. They do degrade, but they become smaller and smaller. And then they disturb the habitat of a lot of marine creatures. A decorator worm that you see on the sea beach would be filled with plastics in the decoration. And after this thing, I would also ask Mohit to talk about microplastics in the land. But talking about seas, a lot of animals on X-rays have revealed microplastics, sea animals, small ones like seahorses, reveal microplastics in the digestive channel. So obviously they are taking in less food because the digestive channel is filled with microplastics. They're lining their nest with microplastics, which is causing a havoc. So they have been found in their habitat. They're found in the digestive system, and this is a bane, this is a curse on the seas. So you look at junk, we find water bottles being thrown about, shoes, nets, boxes, styrofoam, everything they are breaking down in microplastic. We do not know how to dispose of our waste. That is the biggest problem that is there. We drink a bottle of water, we dispose of the bottle on the beach itself, not thinking what havoc is going to rate on the oceans. Personal care products, yes. Look out for the small microplastic crystals in personal care products. They're mentioned in the ingredients in very small fine print. Mostly into face scrubs and shampoos. So personal care products today has got a lot of microplastics that are going to the ocean directly. And the biggest culprit is wear. There are a lot of synthetic mixed clothes. Every time we wash our clothes, either in the washing machine or by hand, some part of plastic is released. They break down. It follows the water chain and goes to the seas. So that is how we contribute towards the microplastics. That's only we contribute to the microplastics in the ocean. Now, what can we do? Try and use natural fiber clothing as much as possible. Use recyclable plastic so that plastic is being recycled because there's a demand now. Check your personal care products for plastic content and try not to use those products. Just save the environment by not using microplastic-based products. And mostly, dispose your plastic waste properly. Bottles, carry food, food carriers, plastic bags. Make sure you dispose them properly. Otherwise, very soon, you will not see those fauna that we are showcased some time back. They will not be there anymore. I come to the same questions that I had asked in the second slide. If you have got answers to some of these questions at least, it was worth it attending today's discourse. And if you have any questions, you can put them on the chat box. Now, the marine enthusiast community is a very new community. There have been people, Bombay that way has been very active. There have been people all over India. Odisha has got a community. So we have the citizen science community have come up with the portals in all the social media platforms. I would request you to please take a screenshot of this so that whatever appropriate platform there are, you can join, post your photos, have discussions, and that way enrich the data that today is lacking about intertidal fauna in India. This is the thank you slide. I would like to thank firstly my audience for their patience, hearing me out. Asian Adventures for giving me a platform to showcase stuff for some of you which might be new. I would like to thank Shaunak Modi of Marine Life of Mumbai. He helped me out in this presentation. He is an expert on marines. Anurag Karekar is a marine naturalist and a dive instructor. He's a very good friend, and he also helped me out with a lot of help out here. In fact, these Shaunak and Anurag kind of started me off on intertidal and these creatures out here. So that being that, let me look at the chat box. Yeah. Mohit, do we have any questions for me?
Yes. Salil is asking, what's the best time to find intertidal animals?
Intertidal animals, look, the tide changes twice a day. Is there some way we can switch off this presentation?
Yes, I'll do it for you. No problem.
Okay. Tides changes twice a day. So every 12 hours, there's a tide. So if there's a high tide, if there's a low tide, let's say at 3 in the morning, then there's gonna be a low tide, let's say around 3 in the evening. So what I do is that I start 1 hour before the actual low tide time. So I can follow the water going down, and I got more and more places to explore. So you have to check out even when you're going to a beach. Suppose you, Mohit, are going to a beach, check out the tide timings and try to hit the beach when the tide is at the lowest. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of these creatures and more. These are just representatives. A lot of more creatures than even the low tide.
So I think this is beautiful. And when you were talking about microplastics, so a lot of research has been done on the land, and what is appalling right now is Shantanu Dada is that since we don't know, nothing is really visible once it goes into the water. These are those dumping grounds, and then people sort of just put the waste inside the water because we can't see it. There's no quantification. There is nobody asking you that. You put it in the landfill, then there will be many people asking you, what's the problem and how is it going to go. Gitanjali Katlam, who worked with Nature Science Initiative, spent some time in Pangur doing her research on microplastics. And the results that she came up with were jaw-dropping. So if anybody is interested in that report, I'm happy to share it. Just share your email ID or write back to me and I'll share those links. Right from whatever that we're consuming through those little packets of Lays or Zarda or tobacco or any of those things, the microplastics everywhere. In the last presentation that Nature Science Initiative had given, where Soumya came up with the fact that 90% of our milk that we have in India from our cows is toxic milk. It's not good for consumption. Yeah. So these are some of the facts that will completely go unnoticed when it comes to the sea. So there are marine biologists and there are people who have been working and they've spent lives doing this. It's important for all of us who are far away from the sea to also delve deeper into these aspects. And it's I'm just going to quickly look at the questions if you've got any for. Arvind says, any experience of Narara Sanctuary near Jamnagar for you, Shantanu Dada?
Mohit, Vishal Thakur has got some very good observations from Navsari. If he can he talk out here? Is possible?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I will just call him in, and one second, Dada, I'm just sort of inviting him as a presenter. Vishal, you've been invited here as a presenter. You'll get a link. Just click that and then come on board. Invite as a presenter. Did you get it yet?
Okay, Rohit Sharma asks, what can we expect from Jamuna in our NCR as monsoon is around the corner, and how can we explore something after the water level receded? Rohit, there are creatures from the water because you find a lot of birds, gulls specifically feeding on them. So you just need to look closer. They would be mostly worms, small fishes that you find there. They are freshwater animals, not marines, but it is a different ecosystem out there. I would love to see some photographs from you about Jamuna, intertidal.
So I can't seem to get him here, Dada. I don't know what's the problem, but he's been saying that he completed his coastal survey at Navsari, South Gujarat, and he could find many marine species in dead condition. Also connected collected sea snakes, octopus, squid, etc. Lots of things, and sharks as well. So, so his observations, of course, are noteworthy, and they would, you know, he would probably be doing his own research. So this is lovely. I think this was a very basic webinar, friends, which was brought to you by Shantanu Dada to introduce you to the world of science,
Vishal has joined.
marine science. Oh, fantastic, lovely. So Vishal, go ahead and speak. You will see a small little round icon that looks like an engine. If you press that, then your photo will also show up here. Otherwise, go ahead and talk.
Vishal, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Can you put on your video, please?
Sir, I'm trouble in my some net issue. I'm facing some
Not an issue, not an issue. कोई बात नहीं.
Okay.
Just let us know what about your observations and the reasons for you finding so many dead creatures in while you're doing your marine survey.
Sir, I'm a wildlife conservationist and I'm especially working on human-wildlife conflict mitigations. And South Gujarat is my new study areas, and I find they have many fishermen are coming, many coastal species. So हमने उस समय ट्राई की कोशिश की कि हम लोग वहाँ जाए और देखें कि लैंड की जो स्पीसीज है साथ साथ में हम कोस्टल एरिया पे क्या कंजर्वेशन कर सकते हैं, वहाँ का हमारा ऑब्जर्वेशन क्या रहेगा, वहाँ हमको क्या चीज़ें मिलती है. तो हम लोगों ने रात को वहाँ जाना पसंद किया जब वहाँ से काफ़ी सारी बोट्स आई अपने साथ, काफ़ी सारी स्पीसीज.
Vishal, एक second. We do have a couple of international people in the audience too. So if you could kind of try and speak in English, it will be better for them.
I'm trying to speak.
Well, not a problem. We will bear with whatever you say. We can understand, boss. You're speaking good English. You started up with very good English.
वो हमारी मातृभाषा नहीं है तो क्या हुआ? We can still talk. No problem.
No problem, sir. I'm trying. So we trying to conduct a small survey. Like we know about the Saurashtra coastal area. Okay, like they cross the whale sharks and coastal areas like Porbandar have a good sea turtle sites. But South Gujarat के ऊपर किसी का कोई काम नहीं है या कोई इसके ऊपर इतने बेसिकली वहाँ कोई इतना ध्यान नहीं रखता. तो we try कि हम वहाँ कुछ काम करें. So my some local volunteers and friends are there. So he told me कि sir we have many species. Like रात को जब भी fishermen आते हैं तो वो types of fish और काफ़ी सारे snacks लेकर आते हैं अपने साथ. तो हम कोशिश की कि हम वहाँ पर जाए. And I see in my observation I'll check first boat. So उनके पास काफ़ी सारी jellyfishes हम लोगों ने देखी. इतनी बड़ी jellyfish की 3 or 4 feet long. ठीक है, और काफी बड़ी थी.
So friends, he saw jellyfish that was 3 to 4 feet long, and in South Gujarat, he's been he's been monitoring those ships which come back to the shore at night.
Only in 10 kilometer radius. मतलब बोट समंदर में सिर्फ किलोमीटर तक ही गई है, उससे आगे नहीं. But
so it's very rich.
Very rich biodiversity we find. Like tripod fish. We can just जब हम लोगों ने उसको देखा तब मुझे एकदम अजीब सा लगा क्योंकि ऐसी फिश कभी हमने देखी नहीं है. इवन यहाँ फिश मार्केट में भी हमने कभी ऐसी फिश नहीं देखी है. फर्स्ट सबसे पहले ऑब्जर्वेशन में आई सोले फिश. ठीक है, तो सोले फिश थी. फिर एट द एंड हमने देखा ऑक्टोपस मिला, हम स्क्विड्स मिले, और मैंने वीडियोस एंड फोटोग्राफ सब स्टोरीज पे रखा हुआ है, हाईलाइट्स में रख दिया ताकि मैं भी ढूंढ रहा हूँ कि मरीन बायोडाइवर्सिटी या कोस्टल एरिया पे काम करने वाले लोगों से मैं जुड़ूं और यहाँ की जो बायोडाइवर्सिटी है उसके कंजर्वेशन. एक्चुअल में मैंने साउथ गुजरात के कोस्टल एरिया को इसलिए टारगेट किया जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ सी टर्टल्स. वी कैन फाइंड मेनी सी टर्टल्स, ऑलिव रिडली एंड ग्रीन सी टर्टल्स इन इंजर्ड कंडीशन. उनके फ्लिपर्स कट्स हो जाते हैं नेट और बोट के इंजन के पंखों की वजह से, तो वहाँ उनको बचाया नहीं जा सकता. तो आई प्लान कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ गुजरात के साथ मिलके, फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट के साथ मिलके हम वहाँ कुछ मरीन बायोडाइवर्सिटी या कोस्टल एरिया के आसपास उनके लिए भी कुछ ऐसी सुविधाएं बनाए ताकि कोस्टल, क्योंकि वहाँ किसी का मतलब कोस्टल बायोडाइवर्सिटी पे किसी का ध्यान ही नहीं है. तो इट्स ट्राई कि हम लोग कुछ करें उनके लिए भी.
As I said, this is a very new thing, the marine coastal biodiversity. Scientists have been working on them, but they are limited to scientists only. Citizen scientists have not yet. As I told you, even in Mumbai, people living on beach houses do not know what kind of diversity they have in their backyard. So forget anything else. If you go to a fish market, half the people will not be able to identify the fishes and the things in the market, which is a ray, which is a stingray, which what kind of eels you have.
Sir, so, I have 2 photographic record in my highlight stories of the stingray. One is a small and one is medium size. 1 feet के surrounding उसका कुछ diagram रहा होगा, radius उसका रहा होगा. And
what's your Instagram handle, Vishal?
Vishal_wildlife.
Vishal_wildlife. Okay. So friends, please follow. I put it here in the chat. Follow Vishal on his Instagram handle, and you'll be able to see his highlights and everything. And you can also directly correspond with him. Vishal, you are happy writing back to people, right? If they ask you any questions, you're happy to answer those questions. Yes. Okay. So that's
के हिसाब से मैं जितना explain कर पाऊँ.
Okay,
sure. So that's fantastic. Absolutely wonderful.
As I was saying, this community of citizen scientists are being built right now, and so I had given you a couple of QR codes, and please, everybody who is interested, join that community. I'm sure we'll be enriched by mutual exchange of information. Money.
Absolutely.
Money says, have you ever come across a cone snail? Are they found only in deeper sea? I know why Money is asking this question. Money is asking this question because cone snails, or one variety of cone snail, is supposed to be the most venomous creature in the world. One sting from its harpoon-like extension can kill, I think, 50 humans. Small creatures. You find a lot of cone snails on the beaches. All cone snails have got harpoons, the stings, which they can shoot out like a harpoon from their back. Whenever you see a cone snail, please treat it as very venomous and keep away from it. Okay. It's like treating it like a sea snake only. Yes, they are found in intertidals. They are found in like normal snails. Just keep away from cone snails. They look like a cone, an ice cream cone. That's the only thing. You find a lot of key rings be made out of them. So that is a cone snail.
So Dada, this was fantastic, and I am not going to stop here. I'm going to ask you to do another one to go a little deeper into the science of marine life. And I know that you're interested, you have all the knowledge. And the way you presented it, it was beautiful because it was more for beginners. And you went and introduced us to many, many species. This was wonderful. So I want you to construct another slideshow maybe next month, and then I will have all the people back here with us. So friends, if you've got questions to ask, because this is going to open up a new world of natural history to you. So if you've got questions to ask and if you've got things to ask, just go ahead and write, because then he will know exactly what you're looking for and what he has to present in his next presentation. So thank you for being here. Dada, you got something to say to the audience before we close?
I am just putting in my email ID.
Yes, please give me your email ID.
The World of Shan.
World of Shan. Okay.
At gmail.com. Sorry, I could not type that. The World of Shan at gmail.com.
Okay. And I'll also put it in the replay link, because everybody is going to get the replay link tomorrow morning. And that will also contain his email ID for you to correspond directly with him. And friends, stay safe, stay happy. And I know that there are lots of problems going on, but don't worry. I'm coming back to you with these webinars to keep you occupied with a whole lot of knowledge. Day after tomorrow, we're going to go live again with Anamika, who's been working in the Himalayas she runs Kilmora, and she runs this social enterprise empowerment, outfit. You'll really be pleased to meet her. So day after tomorrow is that, and then I've got more bird watching and other natural history things happening next week. You'll keep getting the links as we go along. It takes me a little while to develop these links and these landing pages and other things, so the team continuously works on it. We stopped it in the middle because the emotion was such, but then we realized that it's not worth throwing into that direction. So we're back onto our direction. So friends, thank you for being here, and love you all. Stay safe, stay happy, and send us your emails, whatever questions you've got. Thank you very much. Good night. Namaskar.
Good night.
Thank you, Dada.
Good night.
Bye bye, Vishal.
Thank you. Bye bye. Good night.
Bye. See you.